Welcome
to the Bring Me to Life podcast.
It's time to wake up
and shine on.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to the Bring Me to Life podcast. My name is Selomon, joined as always by the lovely Shannon and Shine.
Hello, hello. Thanks for waking up and shining on with us.
Yeah, thanks for saying that for me. And let's welcome our friend BP on, and she is an astrologer and channeler. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, it's me, BP. I'm very happy to be here today.
Yay, we're happy to have you. We're excited to hear more about what you've been up to and all the kind of cool stuff you're into. And we've been mentioning you several different times on the podcast. You've been kind of popping in for some of our energy forecasts. So it's nice to have you live and in person today.
Wow, I feel very special then.
I think it's really cool, getting you on here because we're doing some collaborations and some things. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. And also, Shannon and I, we do a lot of channeling and we do a lot of talking about that stuff. So it's something we'll definitely have near the end of this episode, but something that we're not as familiar with is astrology. And I think that's something that we're pretty excited to learn more about and learn more about your background with it because, it's something that we're just not as familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really like the combination of astrology and channeling. I feel like it's not one you hear combined too often. They sound different, but putting them together is very much my jam. So excited for all of it.
I love that. Yeah, I think it's something that's important. They go hand in hand because with not only astrology is kind of like more set in stone. Like you're born at a certain time, you have a certain chart, but the channeling comes in. And I feel like from my perspective, it would be how you're able to really connect with a person in their chart. Because, somebody could be born at the same time and place. That's rare, but there's something different about them. And your channeling probably helps kind of connect in on that.
Definitely. It's very much part of the connecting aspect beyond just the math of astrology. The channeling is a really helpful addition in the people type of way.
Yeah, so let's, I guess, dive a little bit more into the astrology aspect first. What is astrology to you? And I'm curious how you learned about it and how you, I guess, why you kept interested in what kept you interested in it.
Astrology felt like something that kind of accidentally fell into my path. I think many of us experience our true calling coming to us as an interest that suddenly turns into, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. And my personal experience with astrology was one that made me feel kind of validated a little bit, just through the stars and my chart. It made it so that my experiences had a different set of language to describe them. And for me, that felt really freeing to see some of the things I had gone through mapped out on paper. It feels just like I like to call it like an aha moment, or just an, oh, that's what's going on here. And that type of feeling drew me into learning more about it. My journey with astrology didn't start with astrology and end with astrology, but the personal part began maybe over a decade ago because it's just something I've always felt very connected to. Astrology also has some of that logical left brain activity, and I like to consider myself one of those types. For anyone listening that does know astrology things, even the stereotypes, I'm a Capricorn. So astrology fits my biological brain build pretty well. And it gives a different type of confirmation for people that what they're going through is real I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Should I talk about how I got to astrology through my career?
You might as well. I know you and I have talked about it on an episode of Awakening with the Girls we have yet to release, so people will be able to get multiple angles of your story when we get that all ready, so people can stay tuned. But yeah, how did you end up at astrology? Because I know I looked at my astrology chart first and just kind of got overwhelmed, and you said that your journey didn't really start there, but it kind of led you through it.
Yeah, my journey actually started more in the flowy, creative, healing half right brain things and transitioned then more to the left brain mathematical astrology stuff. My technical, career in the spiritual community, I suppose, started as a Reiki practitioner, and
Nice.
that was my whole jam. I had a studio, and it was my whole living, and I found that it was maybe missing something, or
Mm.
that the journey was evolving for me personally. And as I did that, off I went into the deep end of more things that I could learn. It's a
Yeah.
typical spiritual journey trope to want to suddenly know how to do everything. So I tried, and I went through different types of divination. And I was also at that time in school for mental health. I was going to be a therapist, a counselor, and I am.
Hmm.
So I wanted to figure out a way to combine them after this Reiki experience. And what do you know? You can. If you add some channeling and some counseling skills into your astrology, it can be all three. And so I made another business, and here I am.
I love that. I think it's so interesting how when we start to awaken to stuff like this, it's so exciting, and we just fall down this rabbit hole, and it sometimes can last a really long time, and then all of a sudden you're like, dang, I've been here for like 5-6 hours going down this rabbit hole of information that never ends.
Absolutely.
But it brought you somewhere, so that's pretty cool.
It did, yeah. I know those rabbit holes all too well. It's too fun almost.
Definitely. I think it's interesting how many people, they find the kind of like entryway with Reiki, and then it just kind of evolves from there, because it went like Reiki, and then there's theta, and then there's quantum healing, then there's hypnotherapy, and then there's astrology, and there's like all these different things. And I know Reiki was also kind of like the entry point for me, but I realized quickly that I wasn't doing just traditional Reiki, and it flowed into just, I'm doing energy healing, soul channeling stuff, like I'm here to help your soul. So I think it's interesting to see where everyone ends up. So like you started in Reiki and you ended up in astrology. Like you said, you have that more numbers brain, which just is beyond my comprehension.
Yeah, it does seem to be kind of a common theme where Reiki healing or energy healing is a kickstart point for spiritual healers and people on the journey. I don't know what that's all about. Maybe it's the extra magic in Reiki, because it does work.
Yeah, I mean it's in hospitals now, like John Hopkins, for example. They're starting to have Reiki practitioners come in. The VA is like starting to add Reiki to their insurance for veterans, so it's a legit thing.
It is a legit thing, and that's super cool that insurance is actually covering it now.
Yeah,
I know. And like doctors, I'm starting to meet so many doctors that are like so into meditation.
Yes.
So I mean, like the collective shift is occurring, and we're witnessing it, and it's pretty exciting because we're helping to kind of guide it with our practices, and you working with astrology and channeling and counseling. What is your like vision for all of your services and everything you do?
My vision in all of my
Like, do you
service.
have like a greater vision for the world, or is there like a goal or like a life mission or anything that maybe you think you're working towards, or do you think you're just kind of going with whatever you feel is important in the moment?
Can I say both? I
Yeah.
think both. I'm doing a little bit of flowing with what feels like the mission at the moment, but I've always known that there's an arcing mission that runs through probably all of my life and many of our lives to, of course, help people and uplift the vibration of the whole planet. But particularly, I think my role in that is sometimes beyond the astrology and beyond the channeling, and more in holding a space of really powerful non judgment and like radical acceptance,
Mm.
big time safety. And it's fueled by a lifetime of maybe feeling like I never had that. And so now I want to be someone who facilitates that for others. And that's a big part of my work. So I would say it's a twofold type of answer situation.
Mm.
Hmm. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I freaking love that because we've been recently talking about how important it is to be who you needed when you were younger. That's kind of like one of my mottos too. Like when I get frustrated or if somebody's treating me a way that I am not a fan of, I'll just be like, okay, well, what would I have wanted if I was a younger version of me? Like, how can I like help the world and show up in that way? Because a lot of us were let down, and I'm finding more and more people that are just like frustrated with their parental generation or just the people around them, and they need more people showing up. So we need more safe spaces, and we're grateful that you're one of them.
I'm grateful that you're one of them. You both provide really cool safe spaces in all of your work. It is so pleasant, even as someone who's working with you. It's you guys are killing it, basically.
Thanks. I think we're doing our best, but um, I think it's really cool that all of us are really, magical space holders, and being able to do the Divine Expression program that we're all doing together in January, I think is going to be really special. And I just feel that, finding ways to channel divine energy, to channel creative energy is so fulfilling and so enriching, and really just a really powerful thing. I've been reading this book called The Artist's Way, and she believes that we are all creative and that we're supposed to create in this life. And so, based on how society has gone, it hasn't been set up for us to be like that. And there's a lot of blockages for myself. For example, I was blocked as a kid because I didn't feel like I was supported. I didn't feel like I was seen. And even if I did express myself, I was so different than everybody around me that people just thought I was the weird kid. So, I wasn't as open to expressing myself. And I think if we all were, life would have so much more beauty, so much more art, so much more music. And so that's why I'm really excited about this program.
I 7,000% second that notion. I think creativity can be equated with freedom sometimes, especially in the way that I perceive it, because to be free is to have free flowing creativity at the same time. And the structure of this current earth thing that we're doing does not love the flow of creative energy. And I think the world is starting to shift into a reality that's kind of down with the flow, and I'm really excited to facilitate more room for that with you all.
Definitely. I think that this offering, I've been calling it a creative ceremony more than even a course, because it is like a ceremonial experience. And I think that it is a divine time for it because of like what you said, the world is shifting into this different kind of flow. There's a lot of talk in the spiritual community of like the rise of the divine feminine and the flow state, and releasing the kind of masculine energy of needing to have such structure all the time. And that's where creatives flourish. And we're kind of in this renaissance phase where all the artists and even people who didn't realize they were artists or creatives of different kinds are kind of being forced to do so to get creative with their livelihoods or just with their time to keep themselves occupied and safe in the chaos that has been this year. So we're seeing more and more people that want to channel that creative energy, and some of them are really good at it, and then some of them just feel kind of lost, and they feel this calling of the muse, but they don't know how to channel that spiritual creativity. And I think that the divine expression and creativity offering is going to be a beautiful space to see people really take advantage of that flow in the time that we have here right now. Many of us have, not everybody has it. And I think that that's something that the Artist Way that Sela mentioned is really good at reminding people that even if you're somebody who's still working your full-time job and things haven't really shifted for you on your normal day-to-day, the world around you has shifted, and you might need a creative outlet to channel some of that crazy energy around you too. So even if you feel like you don't have time, maybe you're the person who really needs to make time for some creative play.
I love that. Can I quick second that with an astrological validation?
Yes, please.
That's going on, because everything that you were saying was just dinging in the astrology brain.
I kind of just channeled it, so that's great.
Well, what do you know? I think all of our channels are probably open right now. Heck yeah. Mine is. But there's an astrological tie to that shift that we're experiencing, this sort of slow crawl into this awakening and this creativity being honored rather than shamed as a collective. Like you said, maybe not for every individual, that's not their experience right now, but as a collective, it's changing. And there's a big event on December 21st, astrologically. There's the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. It's one that I've talked about professionally many, many times, so many speeches, because it's a huge deal. It's a shift that separates the last 200 years from the next 200 years.
That's a big gap.
Yeah. It's huge. And the next 200 that come after the 21st are so much more supportive astrologically for this creative kind of channeling energy. It's much more of a free-flowing type of world. And it's a world where new ideas are going to be more accepted and where our spiritual growth is going to be exponential over time. And basically the stars say that the shift that we're starting to grow into is mirrored up there. They say that is facts. You guys are really experiencing that. It's real.
That as above so below kind of idea there.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And
December 21st too.
Yeah. Kind of feeling into that, it feels like not only is it going to be more accepted, it's going to be expected. And it just kind of made me think of too, like how you said the spirituality is going to be more accepted. Thinking just over this summer, how many people I've seen come out of the spiritual closet and take action in either their spiritual path, or they're all of a sudden they want to be a spiritual leader. And it's kind of exciting in a lot of ways to see that many people wake up. And some of them are even people that I felt kind of thought I was so woo for so long, and now they're in it full force, and they're did you know this crystal does this? Did you know that this yoga move can help with that? How about this oil? And it's you guys are in it, and I am so excited for you. Let's see if you can ride this wave and keep the rest of the collective going now, because everyone else thought we were crazy just a couple years ago.
Absolutely. Even my mom.
Yeah, your mom has even been waking up hardcore.
I know, it's weird.
Oh my gosh, mine too.
Really?
Wow.
Part of the shift.
I know. I mean, stuff I dreamed of. I thought this was all going to happen in 2012, and that's why I went and quit my jobs and left and did some crazy things. And, my family thought I was nuts, so. But I was it's all changing. It's going to be so different. And then it was so gradual.
Yeah.
For 8 years up till now.
Yeah. This is the year that I think it's going to, astrologically, I know that it's going to speed up. So hopefully that crawl that you mentioned experiencing for 8 whole years will start to become more rapid, and it will. It's supported in the stars. I think that'll be really exciting to watch too.
So that happens on this December 21st.
Yeah, and 2020 was sort of we know, a big year.
A roller coaster of chaos.
Yeah, they has to sort of crumble in order to rebuild a world in a way that's really different. You can't just expect the world to go from one structure to another, because where would the old structure go? We have to sort of blow that one up a little bit, and 2020 sure did.
Oh yeah.
2021 and onward, it just gets better and better astrologically.
Reminds me of a quote my dad used to tell me is sometimes you got to hit rock bottom to make it to the top, and he would like always do the imagery of like a bow and arrow, like he was shooting an arrow, and it's like I feel like 2020 has been pretty bottom for a lot of people. I mean, some of us are still like out here thriving and we're doing our best, but there's a lot of crumbling of all the structures going on, you know. And I'm hoping that really does like take us as like to the top for the globe, not even just like one community or one country, like the whole globe needs this shift.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Have you seen the tree at Rockefeller Center this year?
I have not.
So in New York City, it's a big thing for that center to get a big giant tree. It's in Home Alone, it's on movies all the time and stuff, and real fancy, beautiful tree. This year, though, they brought a tree, and as they were setting up, most of the branches at the bottom all broke off, and it was like the most scraggliest,
the saddest,
most giant tree.
And it like represented just like the vibe of
people
everybody.
Were just like, that is so 2020.
But then it got even worse because not only did it break, it had an owl that they like moved. Like
an owl was clinging to it for like 3 days.
Random side story for you guys, but it kind of explains how life's going for some.
That's a metaphor for sure.
Yeah, and
the owls crazy. Change too. That's like representation of change and shifts.
That's wild, and illusions, being revealed, and like it's wild. This is the first Thanksgiving that most families are canceling.
Yeah. Absolutely. Cancel your Thanksgivings, everybody. Be cool.
And I think it's a great time to this is a little off, but to recognize what happened with the Native Americans on this land.
Absolutely.
It's not widely talked about in the mainstream circles of families in America. So just shout out to that.
Oh yeah, that is kind of like an interesting energetic balancing of sorts.
Yeah, all this stuff is we're going through really intensely, but I do feel it is to heal, to acknowledge that trauma.
Yeah, I think it's very healing to acknowledge it, and sort of fated, I suppose, to have many people awakening to even more of the truth behind things like holidays. I feel like that's been happening more publicly this year than I've ever seen it in the media, and I'm just like, yes, put the truth out there.
Yes, it's a perfect time for us to, open our creative channel and really important to find and strengthen the connection with the divine, because, we are kind of stuck in our homes and not able to go to shows and other things that we enjoy. So I think that connection is something you can access anywhere at any time, and it's such a powerful thing to have. So that's going to be a big part of the program.
Yeah, I think it's important to connect with that channel too at this time, like you were mentioning about like kind of the transition from the holidays back to channeling, but there's been all that kind of chaos in social media and just between families and stuff too. And I personally think that a lot of what's happening, not only that it's a political year and such, but also because of the spiritual awakening, more people are kind of tuning in and channeling, but they're hearing so many messages at once that they don't even personally know what to believe. And then they start just kind of reflecting it out into the world because they don't have a proper way to channel all their energy, which I know I'm one of those people that if I don't properly channel my energy in a creative way, I can be spouting off. And I used to be really aggressive, and I found like a really big comfort in using my channeling energy with art and with music, and even like just holding space for people through soul sessions and things like that, because that's channeling too. And the ceremony that you're offering, the Divine Expression offering, is such a beautiful platform to really figure out how to focus that energy. And I'm excited to include the astrology part of it, and you've got like the writing and meditation part, and I'm excited to share some how to get messy with some art and painting and that kind of channeling, because that's my jam. So
yeah, I really like that. We're all gonna have something to add to it, and I'm excited about that. The first one I had, it was mostly getting all different people to talk at them, and this time it's just gonna be focused on the three of us, kind of sharing our wisdom, sharing everything that we've learned through personal experience, through our certifications and all that stuff. So I'm really excited to work with both of you.
Yeah, I'm just really, really excited for it. I feel like it's one of those offerings that is really lighting up my soul center and my channel personally. And so I imagine that the impact that this program can make is going to be a big one and for the highest good of all. And I'm just big excited.
Yeah. Yay.
Yeah, we're gonna have group activities. We're going to have activities for you to do at home, on your own, and there's so much going into it right now, and I don't want to give too much away because I know we have another podcast where we will share more information. But anybody interested, you can go to bringmetolife.com. And on the homepage, there is Divine Expression and Creativity. You can click on that, or you can go to bringmetolife.com/DEC 2021.
Oh.
And it's in all of our Instagram bios.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, we got it in our bios. You can check us all out on Instagram.
And it's starting in January.
It is starting in January.
Part of the reason we're doing that is so that you guys can get through this holiday adventure, and you can also use the holiday as a good reason to treat yourself to this creative journey.
It is a good experience that if you want to put it on your Christmas list, or maybe you want to get it for somebody as a gift.
Gratitude gifts. We've got gratitude gifts coming this week for Thanksgiving. So yeah, I think
that would be a great gift.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or if you know someone that's struggling and you know that they're super artsy and you want to help them get focused, let's figure out how to get them as a part of this community, because I think that they would benefit from it. I can just feel that there's so many people out there that would benefit from being a part of a community that shows up and shares. And I've been doing a ceremony these last few weeks, and I have to say that even though I'm the one that's hosting it, I've gotten so much out of just having the space with other people and like being able to reflect with them. It's been super powerful, because it was called Soul Journey, and we talked about past lives, and we talked about meditation and so many things, sacred tools and angels and guides. And like our next week, we're actually ending my course on channeling and how to kind of tap into that, and I'm excited to hopefully see some of them join us in that journey too.
Yeah,
your course is kick-ass, just for anyone listening. I personally have just gone through all of the material in that course, and I was floored with the amount of value that you've packed in there and with all of the information. And I'm really excited for the channeling week, because, that's the good stuff. But I just wanted to throw it out there that I second endorse that.
Thank you. Yeah, I put a lot of love into it. I made a little workbook, and we're going to have a little workbook too, and for DEC. And we have a live setup, so you guys will be able to hop in Zoom and communicate with other people. And yeah, it's going to be exciting. I do have a question for you, BP. Could you explain just a little bit about how you do use your channeling with astrology, maybe a little deeper? Because in my mind, I'm seeing you kind of like channeling. Just explain it yourself. I don't even want to. Too many words.
Okay. Yeah. I would say that channeling, when I use it in my astrology work, shows up a little bit differently than when I'm channeling on my personal journey, or I guess just along my life path. there's a lot of different ways to channel. And I have a few that seem to get flexed the most. And the astrology route is okay. You know, I'll explain like what a session would be like, but the channeling part, because I think an example helps explain it a little better.
Yep.
So if I were to be like one-to-one with a client and they wanted to do an astrology reading, or they were doing their lunar nodes, which is a type of work that I do most often. It's all about past lives and karma and healing all of that gook from your past to move forward on your destined life path. That can include some very personal things for a lot of people. And in these one-to-one scenarios is where channeling comes in. To me, it's sometimes just in speaking, like the way that my channel kind of works during an astrology session is I open my channel to the guides and beings of the highest light and good that I want to call upon, and they'll channel through me kind of which parts of their astrological chart are most important to convey to that person. And they also come through with just words of comfort. Sometimes channeling can feel like the words are not yours as they come out of your mouth. For those of you who channel through just speaking, it's a bit of a clairaudient situation if you're aware of psychic senses. So in the session, it's speaking my channelings to that person while we're going through their chart. And sometimes we end up just off the chart a little bit, giving some guidance that's coming from, you know, these higher beings that is perfectly what they needed to hear in that moment. Somehow channeling is cool like that. So it kind of comes through that way. Also, channeling sometimes comes through in thought forms for me. So it can help me to understand also the person that I'm working with a little bit deeper. It allows me a clearer vision of what's going on there and of the chart too sometimes. Did that make sense? I think that made sense.
It did.
I think so.
It did. It did give me another question though. I'm curious, do you have any like specific guides, or do you work with like the person's guides?
Ooh, that's a great question. Sometimes I work with the person's guides if that is something that they want and have given permission for, their higher self or their guides. I want to always get like explicit permission though to interact with that person's guides or angels of choice. And then I always open my channel to my specific guides. I have two big old spirit guides that hang out with me pretty much everywhere. And then my channel is usually attuned to that of more galactic beings, starseed things, particularly the Arcturian Collective, which is my friends. Those are my guys. That's my soul lineage. So that galactic channel is usually the one that is fully blasted in those sessions at high speed. Also call upon angels and archangels as well, because they are so lovely to channel.
Right?
Do you remember your first experience channeling, or at least maybe your first conscious channeling experience?
It's one of those things where my first experience was one that I can look on in hindsight and see was happening. But at the moment, I did not know was happening. I'm sure I'm not the only one that has the 2020 hindsight vision. But, I saw it start to come up as a younger person in friendships and social situations where I was that advice friend that you come to. And I always had advice that somehow worked, and I didn't know where that ability was coming from. I was like, when did I learn so many things to give advice on when I was like, 13? It's a channel. I was channeling those things to say in just personal relationships, and that continued into my education in therapy to be a therapist in those one-to-one settings with traditional mental health settings. I would be channeling sometimes the guidance during those sessions and didn't know it yet, but it just kept happening. I would just know what to say because I was channeling it, but I didn't know that yet. So those are the first, I think.
I think that's so. It's really cool to look back and be like, oh yeah, like that's what was happening, and I didn't even realize it.
Yeah, I think like just as soon as she said that, I was like, oh, I used to do that too. Like that's crazy to think that we were like 12 and 13 giving advice to like all kinds of people. Like what? Right. And it seems to be kind of more common for our generation to like give advice to like the older generations, which I found interesting. Yeah, like I found like not everybody, but like a lot of my clients are like a decent amount older than me, and it's always like interesting to me.
That's what I was about to say. Most of my clients and the people I work with are probably double my age usually. Somewhere in that range. And I've always thought, I just didn't expect it. Even when I was doing mental health counseling, the clients were then still.
Yeah.
I sort of feel like, as you get older, maybe if you get more experience, at least, maybe you become more open-minded, or at least like, I've gone through life doing this my whole life and it's not working. I'm going to try something completely new. Whereas people who are our age maybe are a little more distracted. When I was like 22, before I had my panic attack, I was super distracted.
I think that the people that are coming to us too that are of an older generation than us are also realizing, kind of like you said, that they've been doing something for so long and it doesn't work, and then they see so many of us taking risks and trying to not be what would be considered normal and allow ourselves to just be free. I think that's pretty powerful. And I love that you mentioned your galactic connection, BP, because I was actually, I think part of the reason that we haven't gotten those podcasts out were a couple things. One, my hard drive was on the fritz, but the second was like, I did have like that scared moment where I'm like, okay, we're getting ready to come out of the Starseed closet, everybody. Like it's about to be pretty real with the Awakening with the Girls podcast as soon as I get some stuff edited. And the galactic thing just keeps coming up more and more. And I think that that's such a powerful channel, and so many people don't know what to do with it because they're like, is this real? Am I crazy? Like, what is this energy and this consciousness I'm connecting with? It's wild.
Yeah, and that's part of like the divine expression, is being able to find ways to channel that into something. Like I want to write these stories in these like movies that correspond to a universe that I want to create, that is sort of like a divine channel of what I would like to see happen in the universe.
I had a thought about one step back about a lot of our clients being of an older generation. I felt like I may have just channeled the why a little bit on that one, and maybe perhaps their channels in that generation are opening at a more rapid rate right now, and they may have just felt the connection to work with healers or teachers out here who have been kind of doing our thing and are real certified and experienced. I felt like perhaps they're just drawn because they've channeled in that's the correct path. Like they're, you know what I mean? They're following the path more often because this world is allowing it more often rather than shoving everybody down one particular path. Although I'm very aware that is still many people's reality, and that's not to invalidate that for those of us who are still feeling kind of in the box.
Totally. But yeah, we just want to like hold that space though for anyone of any walk of life to kind of feel welcome to come on this journey too. Like I know that we are a couple of 20 somethings, putting stuff together, but Sila's 30.
It's never too. Whoa.
But
I'm actually 32.
Silo just turned 32, guys. His birthday was this week. Happy birthday, Silo.
So I'm feeling wise, more wise with each year that goes by. But I also want to, just give a high five to all those, people who are older and, don't hold that against anybody and are just still like, I'll listen to your wisdom, even though you might be younger than me. I congratulate all those people.
Hey, that's why I wanted to welcome them. I love those kind of people.
Yes.
I love people.
And also, the younger crowd too. Like if you're listening to this and you're younger, like that's huge because, obviously it takes some people a while before they're ready for stuff like this. So
yeah, like we were talking about the older generation, some of the younger generation, I'm just like so baffled and I'm like, man, I wish I would have been like this awake at like 16, 17, 18, like it's so like refreshing to see. I mean, there's still a lot of wild millennials out there and I'm there for it, but there's some that are just like so awake and so in tune and I'm just like so excited for life.
You can be wild and awake and respected. And
it's true.
Respectful.
It's true.
We did get a question from our friend Mooney in the chat, and she's asking, when people get into their astrology, when they first start using astrology, how can we start using what we learn about our charts to help us grow?
When you first start in astrology was the start of that question?
I think I just added that.
For astrology, how can we start using what we learn about our charts to help us grow? So I think she's kind of touching on what I was touching on earlier, where when you get your chart the first time, it's overwhelming and you're like, well, what do I even do with this? So do you have any like beginner tips?
Yeah, totally. I remember the first time I saw my whole birth chart at once, and it looks like a bunch of symbols and words and looked very confusing. And like, how could this possibly be useful, like day to day? But personally and professionally, I've found that the things that I've uncovered through my chart and some particularly potent parts of the chart, like lunar nodes particularly, I use it every day as sort of like a guideline or a set of advice almost, because your soul comes in with this birth chart. You could think of it like a blueprint, and you could refer back to it when you're having an experience that feels kind of wonky. You can look in your chart and see where is that activating, and it gives a lot of clarity on what to do, like how to. My favorite part of astrology is the part where we get to apply it to real life. So if you have a situation going on, you can come look at your chart and be like, oh, I think that's happening in my Mercury because I am like this and they are like that. And it gives you this window of clarity into your situations. That's my favorite way to apply it. Also, it's really fun when you first get your birth chart and you find out that you're more than your sun sign.
Right.
Sign that you identify with. Like when people go, I'm a Virgo or something, that's just like the surface of it. And so many people feel a little bit disenchanted with astrology if they don't really identify with that sign or with basic horoscopes for that sign. Perhaps they're not coming true because you have so much else in your chart. It's a very fun moment to see your multi-dimensionality shown to you in a beautiful mathematical layout, if you will.
Yeah,
I'm just astro nerding over here.
I love it.
I think it's great. I remember some people would kind of like make fun of astrology because they would like show someone a book and it would say like this sign is like this and this, and the person was like, yeah, I resonate with that, and they're like, haha, this is actually a different sign. But yeah, they don't.
How they know it's not their moon or their
right?
rising?
They don't take into account all of that, which like on the surface with astrology, you think I'm a Scorpio, like I'm all the kind of Scorpio, but there, like you said, there's this deeper aspect to all the different planets and all the different aspects. So I think it's really interesting and something people don't think about when they talk shit about astrology.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like getting to know yourself through astrology in like a much more full type of way where you can learn more about your inner processes. Maybe it could even teach you about the way you interact in relationships. It could teach you more insight about yourself. Whenever you have more more understanding of self, whenever we have more equipped on us, the easier it is to go into our real life situations feeling like we know what we've got going on, and you can kind of work with yourself better when you know yourself. It's hard to, flow with your own energy if you're unaware of what your energy is. And astrology is a really cool window to see it through a particular universal lens.
Well, so many people want to heal themselves, and they want to go through this, like they hear those trigger words like quantum healing and reprogram yourself, and it's like, well, while you were talking about it being the blueprint, it kind of just popped into my mind how I'm always talking about us being video games, and like astrology is like your HTML coding or your JavaScript for like your personal computer character here in the game, your avatar here. So like once you get into your coding, that's when you can really like see things beyond what you even are witnessing right now, because astrology, like you said, it gives you those kind of like waves where, like you might not know what you're going to be going through in 10 years, but if you look through your astrology and you get that kind of like gap, because like one time my aunt got me this book, and it was like an astro chart book, and it was like for a whole year, and I didn't even like look at it that much because it was super overwhelming. But I looked at it the year after, and it was actually the year my grandmother died, and like there were things in the entire book that would have warned me for that. So maybe it was better that I didn't, because it was like, you're going to have a passing, and there's going to be this large like shift, and like you're going to maybe lose something or someone of value, and it was like all this crazy stuff that I'm like, wow. And it like really marked it. And if you can get in your like astro code there and see that, you can really start to use the Reiki and the quantum healing and the all the different things, all the different forms of holistic therapy in it. But before you know that coding, you don't really know what you're trying to shift. And like just even knowing the rising and the moon was like such a powerful thing. Like you said, like it totally shifted my perspective. I'm so much more than just a Leo, guys.
I love that analogy of looking into your code as if you were like running a video game. That's right. So accurate. Like you're seeing the video game and you're playing the video game, but then you can see the code behind it written out for you. And I was thinking also that part of the chart I talked about, the lunar nodes, that part also refers to karma and past lives. And there's a bit of a buzzword going on right now with like karma healing or ancestral trauma or past life healing. Those are kind of words I'm hearing a lot buzzing around the spiritual community. And I could imagine someone seeing that and going, I want to do that. That sounds good. I want to heal my past lives. What are they? And it gives sort of it can tell you what your past lives are in your birth chart. And I just love it. Once you know what to heal, you can actually do it.
Yeah, I love that. It's kind of like the Flash player. Everyone needs to update their Flash player and get their astrology code so that we can all get upgraded, because it's like there's so many layers to it too. So like you have your nodes, and you have like, oh man, there's so many terms. I don't want to say I'm wrong, but like it just makes like, I'm just doing this computer analogy in my mind, because we have like JavaScript, you got your CSS, you got your HTML, and it's like the nodes and then the transits and like your moons and your like all the different things, and it's just layer upon layer of personal coding, and it's so powerful.
I love that analogy so much.
I know it's kind of blowing up in my mind right now.
That's a banger. I like it.
Cool. Well, I think we're gonna start winding down a little bit and get some final discussion going on before we end a bit. We will have BP back with us in 2 weeks for another episode of the podcast, and that's December 6th. If anybody's listening on demand, I think December 6th. That's right? But I think that would be...
No, it's the 8th. The 8th is a Tuesday.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. And then it's a Tuesday, so we're live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. We have next week where Shannon and I will be doing one, and then the following week after that, I believe, we will have you back. And I think that's going to be episode 183 for anybody listening on demand. Shout out to all of you. Thank you for listening. We just got on Amazon and some other platforms, so excited about that.
Yeah, that's exciting.
So, BP, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And it's always a joy talking with you too.
Absolutely, I agree. Can you tell us some shameless plugs? Where can people find you?
Oh, okay. You can find me on my website, which is lunarcounseling.com, and you can find me on Instagram. It's at BP Online. There's some underscores in there, but if you just search for BP Online, you will find me. And Instagram's where I hang out the most. So if you're looking to get into my vibe a little more and kind of see what I've got going on over here, that would be the place to do it, I guess. Ooh,
Hey.
plugs. Ooh.
I love that.
Yep. And if you can't figure out our underscores, check it out at the Bring Me to Life Network on Instagram. We share a lot of things in the stories. It's where we like to keep things updated if you're not on the website.
Yep. You're at Shantastic Shrine?
I'm at Shantastic Shrine most places on the internet.
I'm at Selomon Official, most places. Check us all out. We are doing a Divine Expression 8-week journey. Shannon likes that word more than program.
Everybody's doing a program right now, and it's so much more than a program. It's an experience.
So should I call it experience or journey?
Journey,
We'll talk about it
experience,
later.
ceremony. It's so much
It's all
more than a
the
course,
above.
guys.
Once it's a space too. It's all of it at once.
Yeah.
Right, like it's a powerful container of awesome energy that we want to share with all of you and help you get your divine channel activated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we'll go more in detail about the program, about what we will be talking about, maybe getting more in depth about channeling, and continue with any of the astrology thing.
Yeah, we could give some channeling tips next time we chat as well, because I think that would be really fun.
Yeah, we'll do some channeling tips, tricks, and Samuni did have one last question, and she's asking about how astrology helps with past lives.
Ooh.
Okay, should I dip back into lunar nodes?
You certainly can, if that's okay with you.
Usually that's where I would start when looking into past lives and astrology. That's one of the things that I hear about the most when people want to approach me or ask me questions about astrology. It's this insight into past lives, because I don't know a lot of people that equate birth chart and past life because they feel a little bit separate. But your past lives are usually very clearly displayed in your South Node, and it can show the theme of those past lives, and it can also show what they literally were if you're someone who believes in them in a very literal sense, or it can be more of a set of themes that your soul wants to work through in this lifetime. And the other node is your North Node, and it gives very clear instructions on what your soul would like you to do to move past that karma and past life junk that's chilling in your South Node that you've come in with. Everybody comes in with some level of past life junk if you're chilling on Earth right now. And the North Node has this really cool plan for what you can practically do day to day that would throw your soul in the other direction, essentially, to do actions and make choices in the direction of your life that kind of not correct your karma, because I don't really love that phrase, but they make your soul feel as though that karma and past life is fulfilled and complete and whole, and you can move on from it. You're free from it once you've switched paths, essentially.
I'm grateful for how fluidly you were able to put that, because connecting past lives to anything can be such a intense discussion. And I think that that's a good time to mention too, that if people are looking to work more one-on-one, there is an option with the DEC offering to get one-on-one work with you and with either of us too. So if you have questions, there's an opportunity to get that bigger package and part of the reason we're bringing this up so early, even though it's not happening in January, is we want you guys to be able to like look at it and really set a plan and manifest your opportunity to get all of you want what you want out of it, not just to join on demand, which you have the opportunity to do, but also possibly invest in yourself and dive into your chart with BP and get to meditating with CeeLo on a deeper level and connect with me, and I can do a soul session or connect with you on your passion project, and now you can channel what your passion is and bring it to life. So I really love how fluidly you're able to answer those questions. So thanks for being here again.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And I hope that anyone listening is really excited about the program too, because I'm very excited. It feels like fuzzy excitement.
Yeah, we're going to get into it a little bit more on our next episode with you, BP. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, everybody out there in the internet, on Amazon, on Apple, on iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, all of them.
Come join us in the Bring Me to Life community on Facebook too, because that's where we like to see people.
Yeah.
Any final words from you, BP?
No, just thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks for being cool. Thanks for holding space for so many people and for sharing your light with everyone.
Absolutely. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate you. Thanks for waking up
and shining on. For many of us, spirituality is just the quest to find essence or true meaning and to really just connect with a higher consciousness.
Connecting with your spirituality is very important in this life. By becoming mindful of all of it, you can realize where you are and if that is leading you to where you want to go.
Listen to the little simple things, because it's those little simple things that are going to shift you vibrationally in such a way that will prepare you to become very intuitively minded and ready to step forward on the next part of your path.
I hope you can feel the love that's inside you, it's inside me, that connects us.
Thanks for shining on with us.